He destroyed the body. He switched the skeleton. He watched a judge throw the case out. And then he walked out of that courtroom a free man. So why is Georgekutty still afraid? Okay, hi. I am Malyaj and this is the Malyaj Cut, a channel where I talk about films and series I genuinely care about with zero filters and zero paid opinions. And for the very first video, I want to talk about something that has been living rent-free in my head ever since the announcement dropped. Drishyam 3. The skeleton police recovered was not Varun's. The judge threw the case out. Geeta Prabha watched Georgekutty walk out of the courtroom a completely free man. And there was nothing, absolutely nothing she could do about it. Georgekutty won, not once, but twice. And the entire police force had nothing to show for it. So my first reaction when Drishyam 3 was announced wasn't excitement. It was a very quiet, very genuine, why? Let me tell you what made this franchise special. And I mean actually special, not just commercially successful. Jeethu Joseph didn't invent Georgekutty from thin air. The character and the premise drew from a 1987 Malayalam story. And what Jeethu understood from that source material was something most thriller directors completely miss. The audience doesn't need to see everything. They need to feel everything. Georgekutty is a man with no legal training, no political connections, no superpower. He is a cable TV operator from a small town who watches too many crime movies, and yet he outthinks everyone in the room, every single time. The franchise was never about crime. It was always about mind behind the cover-up. Drishyam 2 ended the story in the most satisfying way possible. And I want to be specific about why. Georgekutty destroyed the skeleton, but he kept some bones so that Varun's family could have some peace, some closure. And then he watched from a distance as they stood by the riverbank. He didn't go to them. He couldn't. He just watched. And the inspector told Geeta to let the case go because Georgekutty will never stop protecting his family. He will always be on guard, always watching, always waiting for the next threat. Living every single day like that, never being able to fully exhale, never being able to fully look over his shoulder, that itself is the punishment. That ending is the whole franchise in one image. A man standing at a distance, watching, alone, and that is exactly where Drishyam 2 chose to leave him. So if Drishyam 3 puts Georgekutty in danger again, if his family is threatened a third time, what are we actually saying? That the man who fooled an entire system twice couldn't hold it together? The moment you introduce that idea, you quietly chip away at the legend the first two films spent years building. Now, I'm not saying Jeethu Joseph can't pull this off. He has earned more benefit of doubt than almost any filmmaker working in Indian cinema right now. The man built a franchise from a premise that should not have worked a second time and somehow made the sequel better than the original. But here's what worries me. The teaser shows Georgekutty afraid, and if that fear comes from a new thread that genuinely matches his intelligence, great. But if Drishyam 3 falls into a trap of using scale and spectacle to replace the quiet, suffocating tension that defined the first two films, if it becomes about how dangerous the enemy is rather than how sharp the mind fighting back, then we're not watching Drishyam anymore. We are watching a sequel that borrowed the name. I want Drishyam 3 to be great. I genuinely do. Because Georgekutty deserves the third chapter if there's going to be one at all. But wanting something to be good and believing it will be, those are two very different things. So let me ask you, are you excited for Drishyam 3 or are you, like me, a little bit nervous about what it might do to the legacy? Drop it in the comments. I want to know exactly where the audience stands. This is the Malyaj Cut. I am Malyaj and if you stuck around till the end of my very first video, you already knew what this channel is going to be. Subscribe. See you the next time.